to the Real Frame of Mind Top 50.
Episode 2.
Episode 2. Yes, sorry.
It's,
40 through 31. I am Damon Gumbert. This is Trace Patchen, Blake Zornow, and Taylor Wheeler.
What's up, man?
Which I almost forgot his name there for a second.
How do you forget highly forgettable.
And I almost I was like, oh, I hope God I don't butcher Blake's last name.
Well, you did a little bit because it's Zorno.
I know.
I'll forgive.
Zorno.
It's your birthday. That's right.
It's Damon's birthday.
He
Happy
can
birthday.
go into a bar now. The 21.
Yep. The young age of 21. God knows.
Doesn't he look it?
I look at the beard. Just came in
like
today.
you were in a concentration camp for 21 years.
Okay, well, we'll have that one. We're going to start with Taylor this week. So we'll just start with your 40 through...
To 5 apiece, right?
40 through 36.
Yeah, 5.
36, yes. I had to count that.
Thank you, Dave.
Not
I'm
a
glad you had
problem.
to count that.
This is...
I love counting spiders on the wall.
Do you want to try it again? Because you
No,
didn't do
that's
this
fine. Let's
discussing?
just keep going.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just keep going.
Free
It's
flow.
cool. Yeah, we just run it.
We'll do it live.
All right.
Do it live. The joke that'll never stop being funny.
All right, let's hear
All
it.
right, Taylor, let's
Taylor's
go.
up. Put it
All
up.
right. I'll start this off. So my number 40 is Die Hard.
No.
It's one of probably, I consider one of the best action flicks of all time. It's great overall. I love watching it during Christmas time.
It is a
actually.
Christmas
It is.
movie.
It is
Definitely a
really,
Christmas
yeah.
movie.
That's,
Video, like-
I never think about it that way, but it is.
It's so good.
Second
And-
one too, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
second
think
one
it's
is Christmas
same
time
time,
as well
yeah.
because he.
And then the third one's just like, nah, we're not gonna do that.
Yeah.
Special place in my heart for the third one, though.
I think one of my favorite parts about it is that it has one of the greatest movie villains of all time in Hans Gruber.
Hans Gruber.
Shoot the glass.
That was good.
Alan Rickman at his
Yeah.
best.
Like Alan Rickman did an amazing job in there as the like thief terrorist thing he did. Like the entire time we're like, oh, these guys are just terrorists. Nah, they're thieves. That's all they are.
Yep. Nope.
Like-
Nope. They're worse. They just want money.
Yes, thieves are worse than terrorists.
Yes.
Well,
You heard
the
that.
You heard
terrorists
that
have an.
first from Trace Patchen here, 9/11
Well, I mean,
survivors.
Whoa.
They left the
Whoa.
building standing for God's
terrorists usually work for the greater good in their mind, where thieves are just greedy. You know.
sake. True that.
That's true.
Okay, let's stop politics.
I just say it. I know that's why I was thinking.
Alright.
So my number 39 on my list is going to be a documentary.
Whoa.
What? You can't do, we didn't make a top 50 docos.
It's actually Comic-Con Episode 4, A Fan's Hope. Done by Morgan Spurlock, who does a ton of different
Pretty much.
documentaries.
Yeah,
All of them.
Dr. King.
Any documentary you've heard of, that's him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
essentially.
Michael Moore.
Or Michael Moore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just those two men.
But it's a really fun documentary that shows...
No, the two that do documentaries.
It shows kind of the inside life of people going to Comic-Con, stuff like that. There's a lot of interviews. They talk to Joss Whedon a lot.
Oh my God, my king.
It's a lot of fun. You get to see a perspective from a cosplayer. You get to see the perspective from a salesman there, from just a fan, and then a lot of perspectives from people going there. They do a ton of interviews. Like one of them, they did an interview with Kenneth Branagh, the
Oh, really?
director
Nice.
of Thor and all that. So it's a really good little documentary overall. So
That's the
That's
movie
fine.
people remember Kenneth Branagh for. Thor.
Well, yeah.
Well,
no, he's
or
highly-
Gilderoy Lockhart.
in in the context of comic noir, but yeah, that's
and, like
noir.
if you're going to a con, you're gonna remember Branagh for
I feel like
Thor.
Harry Potter's kind of conny.
yeah, or
That's
you
true,
probably
Harry
remember
Potter, too.
Gilderoy Lockhart.
I was thinking Jack Ryan Shadow Recruit, but you know.
Really,
No.
Jack Ryan Shadow.
Nobody remembers that movie.
Tie your scarf tighter, hipster. Jesus.
Yeah, that's a hipster movie.
My number 38 is a horror film. It's
No way.
Stephen King's The Mist.
Oh, The Mist. Frank Darabont.
I was waiting for like
Love-
it.
The- like the newer one, right?
Yeah.
The only one.
Thomas
Yeah.
Jane.
Aren't there two? Oh, that's Fog.
Yeah.
Yeah, the fog.
Yeah.
Get out of here. You
Yeah.
can't tell the
Wait,
difference
yeah,
between those
wait,
two
you're out.
movies.
They're
You
literally
need to be on
better-
this couch.
Dear God, I'm
Kidding.
sorry.
I'm giving you
No,
crap.
I really enjoyed The Mist. It's good story overall. I have a soft spot for Tom Jane, so that
Yeah, he
probably
does.
does help me for watching that
Wait
movie.
until it's top 5.
Oh, God.
If only he made more than 3
And
movies.
I think the thing that helped me like that movie, and I know a lot of people hate the movie for the reason, is the ending. And
That
just
was,
that
like,
shock
The
ending.
most depressing and like awesome ending ever.
Yeah, because
You
just
don't
like
do a
it's
spoiler
the
alert, so don't blow it.
Yes.
I'll throw
A spoiler
heavily
for
on the
like a
beginning.
movie that
Yeah.
came out like almost 10 years ago.
I think it was 2008 for
Yeah.
this movie. So spoiler alert, he shoots everybody in the car,
Including his
including
10-year-old
his
child.
son.
Yep.
And then he gets out and yells for them to take him. And then he does that awesome like cry.
Ah! Ah! Insert Darth Vader no right. No.
And then you see the lady from The Walking Dead drive by on the bus.
Yep.
Oh, I hate her! There's actually a lot of Walking Dead.
Well, that's
you-
because it's Frank
And
Darabont.
he's
Frank
the same
Darabont.
age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Frank Darabont was the creator of the
'Cause,
Walking Dead. So.
What's his name? Dave, the
Batista.
old dude from Walking Dead.
Herschel?
He was in there too.
Glenn.
Oh,
no.
Yeah, no. I know.
Bucket hat got 8 in the field. I remember.
Yeah, like he was in there too. He's in like every Darabont
Dale.
movie.
Damn.
Dale, that's what it was.
I'm trying
Thank
to
you.
remember. I was trying to remember the actor's name, but I can't remember.
But and also another great villain because you hate her so much. The super religious lady in there.
Oh,
Yeah.
When you
Like
said
it's
gay heart,
such a
yep.
good villain because you
Marcia
just
Gay
you
Heart.
want her dead so badly throughout that entire movie.
and you get it.
And,
And
almost
it was
every movie,
glorious.
She's just like the worst person.
Yeah,
she does an
she's-
amazing job of playing people that you want to die.
That's the
Yeah.
mark of a good villain.
Yeah.
It really is. Like, as an audience, you want them to die.
When even in,
immediately.
she was in like Little Miss Sunshine for like literally 5 minutes, and you already hate her character like more than any
One
other
and done.
character.
So moving on, my number 37 is Empire Strikes Back, Star Wars Episode 5. I think it's the best.
Kind
out
of high on the list, huh?
of- It is the best out of all the Star
What
Wars
was that?
films.
I'm heckling them.
Best out of all the Star Wars films, and I think I have an obsession with bad endings, like not bad endings,
Not
but
happy ending.
down pressing them endings.
Because
to
they're like the
movies.
best endings to movies. You don't
'Cause-
want it to wrap up nicely. That's
Yeah.
the worst.
Because like Empire didn't wrap up nicely at
No,
all.
God, no.
Loose ends, for sure.
Yeah, like there's so many loose ends. Everything's just going to crap for the rebellion and all that.
Yeah, it's not definitely not a happy ending.
Yeah, it
And
was
then,
a well put together story. So
Oh god, the Family Guy, second one, something Dark Side.
Yep.
Where they point out at the end that for some reason Lando just like steals Han's clothes in the end. Like he's like the entire movie wearing his own clothes, and then the end when he's driving the Millennium Falcon, he just has randomly Han's entire like outfit on.
Fun fact: the reason why that Han was put in carbonite at the end of that movie is because of contract negotiations. They didn't know Harrison Ford was coming back for the third movie, so they said, "Well, we can try and get rid of him
Kill him
somehow."
off.
Yeah.
Without killing him.
Yeah, exactly.
that would have like
That's actually
If they
pretty
did-
brilliant.
if
But-
they didn't have Han, I think that would have killed that. third
Oh,
movie.
absolutely.
It's not like the third movie was fantastic. Anyway.
Hey,
Well, not
you leave.
less than
You
fantastic.
leave.
You can't. That's
Take
that's
your
holy
damn
ground
hands off
here.
that movie.
Look,
Take your
Ewoks.
damn dirty hands off that. You stinky
Ewoks
ape.
suck. That's all
It
I'm gonna
doesn't
say.
matter.
It's not part of this though.
So yeah, number 37 is Empire. Number 36 is Django Unchained, the Tarantino.
Approve.
Personally, my favorite Tarantino movie of all of his,
It's close. I'm not gonna give you shit, but
because I don't know. For me, there's always a slow point in every Tarantino movie, and personally, Django, I didn't have a slow point in it. Like I haven't found any of his other movies where there wasn't one. This is the only one that did, or didn't have it.
Kill Bill Volume 2. Come on.
I didn't like the Kill
No,
Bill.
Kill Bill Volume 2 was like the slowest movie in the history of the world.
And
No.
Nothing happens.
the performances in that in Django were great. From Jamie Foxx as the main character, Christoph Waltz, who gave it a wonderful performance again, which I
Huge.
liked his performance in there better than Inglourious Bastards.
Both
I think
winning him awards, so
Yeah, Glorious
Yeah.
Bastards slightly overrated in my opinion.
Oh, definitely.
I would agree.
Yeah. And then DiCaprio was amazing
Leo.
My God, DiCaprio's amazing.
Yeah, Leo was amazing as the villain in there, and just knowing the one scene was improvised where he like slapped his hand down and broke it and had the blood
Yeah, it was great.
and just wiped it across her face. Like that was just improvised in that moment there.
I guess Quentin and everybody behind the camera were like watching him like this, like, what the hell? Is this real? And then he's going on, and I guess he got a standing ovation after that scene too.
So
Very
I always
impressive.
wondered what Kerry Washington must have been thinking.
oh
when
god.
he just wiped
That
some
shriek was
blood
probably real. Like,
all
oh,
over
what does
her
he have?
face.
You don't know.
And like,
Yeah.
she just keeps going too, so I kind of give her props.
Yeah.
She's all, I hope the HIV is worth an Oscar.
She didn't even get
Yeah,
one.
she didn't get crap.
Well, Leo didn't get
Yeah.
No, no.
he
Leo
didn't,
will
he didn't
never
take the
get
gold.
one.
That's we'll have our own.
I don't
episode
know.
about that.
We'll see. He's got some
Yeah.
decent
He'll
movies
get a
coming
pity
forward.
one eventually.
Yeah,
No, the-
handed to him.
The Revenant is gonna get him one.
Revenant, and then he's
Dude, I'm gonna
he's
laugh
in
when
works.
Tom Hardy gets it over him.
Oh my god, that would be heartbreaking. I mean, I feel great for Tom Hardy because I love Tom Hardy, but
Well, like
that movie honestly looks like just amazing.
It does look amazing, but I've been
You know,
hearing just
I know
horror
reviews.
stories about that movie because they're trying to film it in natural light
Yeah,
and in
Which
a
is-
place
and
that
it
there's
looks-
12 hours of there's like 6
It
hours of
looks
natural light.
Fantastic too.
It does look amazing, but
Anyways, back on
to
track.
it. So yeah, Django was my number 36. So we will move on to Mr. Blake Zorno.
Blake on the mic.
Blake on the
Like
mic.
on the mic.
Alrighty.
Blake Lively.
We'll continue my IMDb's top 250 minus the last 200 here.
That's
Because I have the shallowest list ever that I could have gotten off the internet, but I didn't, and I cried after I realized it. Anyway, we'll start with my number 40, cult classic, Donnie Darko. If anybody's ever seen it,
Classic. Classic
it's
movie.
a really good movie. Excellent soundtrack. Twisty, turny, dark movie, as the name implies. Jake Gyllenhaal is probably. I don't know if that was his first performance, but that's his
No, because
first.
he had Bubble Boy.
Yeah,
Probably around the same
okay.
time.
That's
That was
Bubble
definitely
Boy.
his best
That one
performance.
just missed because no, but I think it is it. I don't know if it's. I've never understood if it's a remake of the song, but Gary Jules at the
Oh,
end.
Mad World.
Mad World.
Yeah, I
It's
think it is because I believe I can't remember the five for no just
Not Five
What
for
is this?
Fighting.
An
I
amusement
was gonna say
company?
Five for Fighting, but it's something else. It was an
Yeah.
'80s band.
Yeah.
I don't remember what it is. They did it first.
So,
Oh, right.
personally, I think Donnie Darko's a bit overrated.
It could be.
It's not on my top 50, but I still think it's a good movie.
It's not that I don't like the movie. It's just I think people rave about it too much for what it was.
Well,
Funny thing,
I hope you get
Well,
both.
Donnie Darko in that movie, he wears a pair of shoes throughout it, and I believe they're called Adidas Campus. I couldn't find a pair, but I really wanted one. So that's they're I don't know. I'm a really big sucker for great feature tracks in a movie, and that tends to stick with me, and that was one.
There were some really funny lines in that movie too, and it was really weird going back after I watched Knocked Up and seeing freaking Seth Rogen in that movie.
That's
He's
right.
one of the bad guys, or
Yeah.
one of the bad kids.
Yeah, he looks awful too.
Yeah, he does.
I don't.
It must have been
remember
like
it.
right after Freaks and Geeks ended
Yeah.
or something.
He's got like the buck teeth and
Yep.
everything still.
See, Donnie
Don't
Darko was.
remember
It was
Oh,
one
God.
of those.
He's not like a huge character in it or anything. But
No, he's just supporting. But it was one of those movies that I just watched and I hated right away. Like I did not
I
like
can
it.
see that point of view.
And then
Because
I
you
gave
don't
it a
really
couple years.
understand what the hell is going
Well,
on.
yeah,
The
it's a
first,
very
like,
high
2 or
concept
3.
movie. Like, there's a lot of things going on. But then I watched it a couple years later, and now I do like it. I actually own it now. So
So what other movie from Hot Topic I'm gonna bring out?
Okay, now that we're gonna complete my Hot Topic T-shirt collection.
God.
This one actually might be at Hot Topic or Spencer's Gifts. Number 39, a DiCaprio and Tom Hanks classic. Catch Me If You Can.
you like this one a lot, don't you, David?
After all the
It's
crap
not
David
that far
got.
off from my list.
It's one of Leo's last movies before he got wide face syndrome. Yeah, I don't know if
Yeah.
anybody else knows what I'm talking about.
Yep.
He did get a fat face. His face just got somehow wider.
He definitely
And
has
still
got
got the Titanic
He's really
face.
rocking the dad bod more than like
Hey, if it
anyone
works.
else. And you,
Well,
you think you rock it too.
It's
But
because he finally became an adult.
Yeah.
That's true.
Is that's a
his
that-
his metabolism finally slowed and caught up to him.
We're good
Damon.
at talking. We learned to talk at school.
Good.
Yes.
I was gonna say I don't
Thank
have
you,
it.
UW Fox Education.
It's another Scorsese Leonardo hook
Yep.
up in that one. That's got to be 1 or 4 or 5. There's been quite a few of those.
Yeah, and they've got another one coming out pretty soon too, where he's beating H.H. Holmes.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's sweet.
Yeah,
Sweet.
Catch
Supposed to
Me-
be a really good book too.
Oh, Christopher Walken, excellent supporting role in that movie. The must have slipped off your neck with the bracelet and the necklace. Doesn't work on women in the real world. They just
He tried. Who knows? Who knows?
it's there's no chloroform on this rig. Alrighty, we'll move right along to number 38. I think it won a Best Picture, Unforgiven.
It did.
Yes,
Yeah,
it did.
that was 1990 or 91.
I think it was 92. The 92 award.
I think it was 92 was Dances with Wolves.
You're right. 91 then.
Yeah, Unforgiven, really good movie overall. Probably it's Clint Eastwood directed.
I think it was one of his first ones.
It's the same character. It's the gritty Clint Eastwood character. Gene Hackman, I believe, got a sporting nod for that one. It's got a lot of really good monologues, and overall, I'm not a huge Western fan, but modern Westerns stick out to me. I mean, you go back and you watch like his older spaghetti Westerns, which I think one appears later in my list, but not a huge fan of older Westerns. Newer Westerns I really enjoy. So Unforgiven.
And that's a movie I haven't seen, but I have for
I watched it. I'll probably have to watch it again. I didn't like it the first time I watched it. I was just kind of like, this is.
I don't.
And especially since like it was like they had it was Morgan Freeman and him, right? Morgan Freeman's in that.
He could have been.
Unforgiven.
I do believe
They were also
I
$1
thought
Million
he was.
Baby though. So
Yeah,
that mixed
That's
up.
why I was like, man, of the two of them, $1 Million Baby is so much better.
I guess I don't know what it is about that movie. It's just stuck with me.
There's a lot of people who really love that movie, and I just never been one of them. And it might again be my dislike for Clint Eastwood directed movies.
Your hipster views.
Yes, again, apparently it's a hipster view to not like Clint Eastwood.
Well, no, I mean,
It's-
in all honesty,
it's proven statistically.
in serious honesty, like something about Clint Eastwood, I don't watch his movies right away. I've never seen Unforgiven because it's something about Eastwood for me.
I don't know.
I think a lot of his movies don't have that initial like. You know, let's say it's on Netflix.
Like
and
if someone
you're
didn't
queuing
tell me
through-
some of his movies were directed by him, I might watch them. But like the fact that I just like I've watched his movies before and not liked them. Like the only one, and Gran Torino is not like a great movie. It's a good movie, and I like it. But and that's like one of like the only ones that I've seen of his that have actually been like good. And it might have been just the fact that J. Edgar was so bad that it turned me off from all of his movies.
I didn't even see it.
It pissed me off how bad it was because I was super excited. It was like J. Edgar, Leonardo DiCaprio, like he's gonna win an Oscar, and then it's like, oh my god,
Everybody's just like,
this
waiting.
is terrible. Like his character sucks. It makes me hate the FBI even more.
I
Like,
still have not watched that movie because now I was trying to remember which one you're talking about,
Yeah.
and I was super jacked when it came out, saying I didn't even see it. And
'cause it
everybody told me
got
it sucked.
obliterated by critics. It was just, and then I watched it. I was like, it can't be that bad, and it was that bad.
So moving right along, number 47 on my list, probably the newest movie on
37.
my list. 47. No, we're on 37.
37.
There's some.
Somebody else might have it if they didn't already have it, but Whiplash? Anybody?
Taylor.
That's coming up for me.
That is one of my honorable mentions.
It's literally like a better version of Drumline in every way. It's so.
not even comparable.
I watched it. I think it was on your recommendation. I watched it, and I'm like, I hate Miles Teller. And I watched it. I'm like, I hate him a little less, but it was such a good movie, and there were so many. And I read a lot about how they actually Miles Teller did. It was a percentage, maybe 60% of the drumming.
Yeah,
in that
'cause
movie.
he grew up drumming, yeah.
It's one of those movies that even if you don't care about music, doesn't mean you shouldn't watch it because the story is so
the
good.
music is like the secondary part of it.
Yeah.
It's more the the character interaction that really does it.
We didn't even touch the best part of this movie, J.K. Simmons.
Oh my god.
It gives a ridiculous, over the top, like you are afraid that he will be in, outside your apartment to punch you. it's just a good movie. It really is. And I was really hesitant to put newer movies into my list because even as we made these lists, I've been tempted to switch movies out.
Yeah.
Because you get nostalgic for sometimes, and then you watch a movie that just came out and you're like, oh my god, it's great. But yeah, Whiplash is excellent. And then to round up my first five, number 46, soundtrack alone got it on here. Guardians of the Galaxy.
Nice.
Stop having the same list.
No, that was 36. Okay. So number 36, Guardians of the Galaxy. I don't have a lot of Marvel movies on here, and I was really torn because I think when you come to the Avengers and Guardians and Cap 2, they're all really good production quality wise. I think Guardians was just something different. It was fresh, different characters. The soundtrack has been widely touted. It's amazing.
It's a fantastic
I
soundtrack.
have it on my phone right now.
Yeah, we were jamming to it all the time. It comes up constantly. But overall, and I'll say this again for other movies, probably one of the most catchy, rememberable starts of a movie. The intro when he's dancing. I think it's "Come and Get Your Love."
Yep.
Yeah, and it's just fun. Like you're sitting there and you're like, oh, Guardians, it'll be good. But then that happens. You're like, this is gonna be a funny movie, and it was the whole thing, start to finish. It was laughs, action, great CGI, great voice acting. The whole thing was great. And I mean, for a superhero movie, there's always gonna be, well, they didn't develop this character, and comic book faithful are gonna be like, well, that's wrong. But overall, the movie was just really good.
For the movie as a whole, that it completely overshadows all of those setbacks that people could point at, say, hey, that was wrong, hey, that was wrong. As a movie as a whole, it just surpasses what it can be. I mean, to the most majority movie-going audience, nobody knows these characters.
It's pretty much like for that movie, it's almost impossible not to have fun with it.
Yeah, it's just legitimately a straightforward, fun movie, and like totally respect it. Much respect, bro.
Feel it. Come and get your love.
Come and get your love.
Not for me. I'm
like a robotic. You said that. Come and get your love.
Siri, how do I get your love? Easy. I have a vibrate feature.
Oh, that's great. I'm up, huh?
Trace is up.
All right, we're starting off hot and heavy here. What?
Don't cut that. Please don't.
I didn't hear what he said.
I just turned to him and whispered, "That's getting cut."
That's what the doctor said when I came out.
That is definitely getting cut.
What? It's a circumcision joke. Shut up.
I made a pedophilia
Like you
joke
haven't
against
once.
Trace once, and they wanted to cut
We
that
cut
one.
it. We did cut it.
Oh,
Yeah, it was
Jesus.
gone. Anyways, all right. Hey, I'm up, guys.
23 minutes in.
I'll try it again. We'll wait. No, I'm kidding. All right, I'm up. So 40 for me is 1998's American History X. I know Taylor doesn't agree with this movie.
Okay, so before you go into the good thing, I'm not saying it's a bad movie. Edward Furlong sucks.
When
Always.
does he
He's
not
terrible.
suck?
He was terrible in that movie. I don't know. I just think.
Terminator 2 is a good movie. He was really bad in that movie too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's parts that save that.
There's parts that save American History X, you dude.
I'll go into it.
Wait,
Everyone
no,
does it.
that's
Let him
because
speak his
you
piece.
are so in love with Edward Norton.
Oh my god.
So you don't get a voice.
Speak your piece so I can speak mine. I got a paragraph.
That movie's
just-
about giving voice to people.
I think from what people made the movie out to be for me, it was just a disappointment. Because everybody for 10 years was like, you need to watch American History X. It's so good. It's so good. It's so good. And then I watched it. I'm like, it's all right. Edward Furlong sucks in it, and Edward Norton's really good, but it's nothing impressive. It didn't hit me in my heart and be like, yeah, oh god, I feel the Nazism leaving my body.
How much Nazism do you have to watch that movie? He was like, God, black people.
All right, I'm gonna speak my piece about why I picked this movie.
Let's
Now that he
speak
spoke,
it.
spoke-
Hallelujah.
All right, so obviously we know the story of the neo-Nazi brothers and their force for change throughout the movie, and that's what I love about this movie, is that it has the essence of true change, plus it speaks of the oppressions and the problems of racism in our culture and cultures within, subcultures within our culture, anyways. And the realism and the realistic take of racism in this movie is why I think it's so praised by people, and why I consider it in my list. Is because it's something that's still prevalent to this day, but this film takes both sides of that. I mean, most of it's focused on white supremacists, neo-Nazis, but you still see, even at the end of the movie, especially at the end of the movie, racism works both ways. And I think that's really great. Also, the fact of duality. You have a person, Edward Norton's character here, who has lived this life and is reformed to a completely different person, and he wants to save his brother from that. Obviously, it's too late. Spoiler alert. But
yeah, again, from a movie that has been out for years, we're gonna give a spoiler alert.
What about babies? They haven't seen it.
Spoiler alert. 2001. There was not a Space Odyssey.
Yeah, that's true. So yeah, like he said, I got to back him. Stand-up performance from Norton. I think arguably this is probably the best performance Norton's given.
It was a
my opinion.
Great performance from Norton.
Death to Smoochy.
It was, to me, it was overrated. So.
No, I can see that. I mean, it's definitely one of those movies. Actually, you're not alone. The director doesn't like the movie either. He's actually shot down the movie numerous times. Tony Kai, and he doesn't agree with the final product. But I think it's a truly beautiful film. Really, I mean, it really is.
You break a tear to your
I am crying internally. I can't cry out externally.
He's never
I am internally.
Yeah, Trace doesn't cry.
All right, next one, 39. We're going to go 99's. Okay, so number 39 pick for me is 99's Matrix. Written, directed, produced, even edited by the Wachowski brothers when they were brothers, not siblings. With help from cinematographer Bill Pope, they created this dystopian future world that led to, change the minds of moviegoers and films alike from then on. Like, the bullet time special effects that they used back then, as well as the unseen of until that point slow motion, was just so groundbreaking. Not to mention the stunt choreography. It's essentially is one of, if not the best American martial arts films mixed with sci-fi films of all times.
It honestly probably is the best American martial arts film, because I haven't seen one that. What other one comes close?
300.
The Karate Kid.
Oh, shut up.
Yeah, no.
There was really just breathtaking karate in the movie. Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love the Karate Kid, but when it comes to choreographed martial art, actual legitimate martial art, Japanese and Chinese inspired, this movie, it just blows it away, especially in American audience, foreign American audience, with other that's 3, I'm done. Philosophical and religious. God damn it. I wrote it wrong. That's why I'm messing it up.
You were one away from the 3-peat MJ.
Yeah.
Knock it
Different
down.
themes within this movie. It really makes it. There's definitely a reason that this film is remembered to this day, and it deserves its spot on the National Film Registry. It actually is on the National Film Registry. I think it's one of
the preserved archive.
Yeah, this is a preserved archive, and I think this
that
is
an interesting list of movies. It's almost an. I read Fargo was on there.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was like, that led me to watch Fargo. A great movie.
I still haven't watched it.
Not that it has to go along with your thing.
Fargo, I don't.
That nobody's got
Watch a
Fargo.
movie.
I honestly haven't.
I'm on 300.
No, 312. Did you do that list? Why didn't you take him in it? I feel like he would have seen a good chunk of
Because
those.
Blake doesn't go
Oh
on
boy,
Facebook.
I thought you were talking about me.
Yeah, I know.
That's because Facebook is a farce of our society.
All right.
You should go on there, and then you do stuff with David.
Yeah, you do stuff.
I'm gonna move on.
Yeah, let's just move on. Let's keep moving.
My number 38 is actually 1994's Shawshank Redemption. It was a fight to choose between this one and The Green Mile because I love them both. But I only wanted to represent one. Frank Darabont adapted Stephen King novels. So I think this was
just what he does.
Yeah, I think this is the 3
Original title.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah, it's I actually have it right here.
Rita Hayworth.
The Rita Hayworth and the Shawshank Redemption. So anyways, directed and screenplay wrote by Frank Darabont. This movie, obviously, most people have seen this one. This is on IMDb's top 250 movies.
Yeah.
It's number 1 and has been for a really long time. For a film for all intents and purposes, this movie was actually a flop, which is super surprising. But it's obviously made its way almost to cult status back into everybody's
I think it's
lives.
past cult status.
It's surpassed.
Like
it's on.
it's
I mean,
a mainstream like hit.
it is
Yeah.
true. I mean,
It's taken.
it regained some steam
Well,
back
it's
when
not
it
like
was
it was
on.
like a super unpopular movie, and it did
No,
get
it's-
nominated for.
Yeah, it got
several-
nominated for Oscars and
It
stuff
got
like
it
that.
won Oscars, I believe.
I'm almost
Well,
positive.
no, I don't know if it won any.
I'm almost positive it won Best
It-
Picture.
It did not. It got robbed.
Because it was the same year as Pulp Fiction and Forrest Gump.
Yeah, Forrest
Literally,
Gump.
like the hardest year I've ever thought of, like that I can look back.
It's
I
on a
love
lot
movies.
of lists
I-
of like.
I love.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because those three, it's like like you could go any way with that, and I would have been fine with it.
I
But
love.
I believe Forrest Gump won.
Yeah, I love Shawshank Redemption so much that once upon a time when I had spare money, I went on this magical site called movieposters.com and I ordered myself a nice large print of Tim Robbins basically platooning in the rain.
Platooning.
Is when
That's
you go on-
great.
It's like T-bowing but on two knees.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like one of my favorite posters I have. And I
that
wish
one-
Tim Robbins would have been in more things from that movie. It was just awesome.
He's been in a lot.
He
of
was
movies. They're just like there are
before-
a lot of cult movies.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
hugely popular.
If you like Tim Robbins, though, it's what Noise is that what it's called?
Yeah.
You should check that one.
Yeah, that one was good. We watched that one. I remember
Yeah.
that. It's an underrated indie flick. But
he's on a TV show right now called The Brink with Jack Black.
Sweet. I'll never watch it.
No, it's gotten pretty bad ratings so far.
I don't know what you're talking about. Jack Black makes anything watchable.
I'm gonna watch Goosebumps
His career is
So much.
because that actually does look funny.
I'm watching Goosebumps. But anyways, let me finish this up. One of the most prevalent themes in this movie that I respect and I appreciate about the film is the idea of maintaining Andy Dufresne, Tim Robbins' character, maintains the self worth throughout the movie, even in places like prison. I mean, to maintain that kind of integrity throughout the whole movie is why Red looks up to him the whole time. You know what I mean? And that's just something that you take away from the movie. In self-worth in places that are so hopeless, like prison. So I think that's why this movie is really, really stunning.
Never forget Brooks Whiskey.
Nope. I mean, and even looking back on with his character too, he was happy in prison. You know what I mean? Prison was his place. Outside of prison was not. It wasn't for him. So I mean, kind of on both spectrums.
I should have wore the shirt. Maybe I will when I get up to where Shawshank is on my list. But I went to the actual prison where Shawshank was filmed,
Oh, nice.
and it's in Ohio.
Did you visit your mom?
Why would
I was kidding.
I was visiting
I'm
my
sorry.
dad? So that was the entire reason we went. It was me, my dad, and my stepmom. We went. It's like in the middle of like random Ohio. The prison where they filmed it. They filmed part of Air Force One there too. So and they had like a bunch of like they just left props there. So like the fake tunnel that he was crawling out of at the end of the movie, they left that there. So they have it like on display. It's really, really cool.
Cool.
I just
All right.
thought that was cool.
I'm sorry, I was just reading what I was. Fuck you. I do think that's cool. All right, 37. I don't know if any of you guys have actually seen this movie.
I have.
Awesome. Good.
Netflix.
It's an Al Pacino movie. It's 1975's Dog Day Afternoon.
Yep.
Directed by Sidney Lumet.
Netflix.
Directed by Sidney Lumet for Taylor, and for those who have never seen this movie, it is in my opinion one of my favorite bank robbery-esque movies because it deals with so much more than just the robbery itself, and it gives you literally one of the best, in my opinion, performances out of Al Pacino, and it gives you one of the best characters he's ever created. Sonny's character is so complex. You actually are rooting for him throughout the movie, even though he is the bank robber. It has themes of anti-establishment during the uneasy, post-war torn 1970s of people coming back from the Vietnam War. And everybody, I'm sure you guys remember the Attica speech in that movie, and yelling Attica was
I think
just...
that's the entire reason I watched the movie, because I looked up why every TV show quoted Attica.
Yeah.
It's movies like this, gems from Pacino. When he had a heyday for a long time.
Oh,
The
yeah.
70s and
70s
80s were
was
his
him.
days.
Him and De Niro going back and forth, really.
That when you see him in newer movies like Adam Sandler's farce of a movie, Jack and Jill.
Ugh.
You just want to puke and cry a little bit because like he was everything you're looking for in an A-lister back then. You know, he's kind of edgy. He did a lot of his roles were demanding
and they were different too.
Yeah,
I mean,
were.
because you put up this, you know, kind of skitsy guy who's bank robbing for his boyfriend for a sex change, and then in the next movie he's Tony Montana, you know, Scarface. Very, very drastic changes, and that's why, I mean, to this day, Al Pacino's in just a small amount of films one of my favorite actors.
It's weird how he can pull off a Cuban.
Yeah,
Cuban
yeah. And he did it
it's
again.
Like every movie, he's either like
he's never American.
no, he's like Italian or Cuban or you know.
Have you guys seen Carlito's Way?
No.
Does it again in that movie too, but I think he does it better personally. Anyways, my final one for our first five, number 36, 1976's Martin Scorsese film. My second one on the list, Taxi Driver. Taxi Driver, written by Paul Schroeder. This film is, at first, honestly, it was a Donnie Darko for me. I watched it. All the hype for when I first watched it didn't pay off for me at first.
I'll second that.
And I watched it again, and I watched it again, and I keep watching to this day because I love this movie. It almost gave birth to that realistic vigilante you see in movies. Travis Bickle, Robert De Niro's character, is, for all intents and purposes, not a good guy. I mean, he's this sociopath that just is, you know, still dealing with post-Vietnam, you know, insomnia, why he takes up the taxi driving job in general, to kind of watch and see this declining city, and he almost, you know, wants to take a part of that somehow. He wants to take what the city has to offer. This and the way that Scorsese utilizes New York City in this movie is almost a character in its own right too. It's just very well done, and I just really love this movie, because to him, he wants to be a protector, but the villains in his mind can range from, you know, drug lords to these pimp selling children to politicians. So it's very complex, a character in general, and it's a very fun movie. You haven't seen it yet, have you, Taylor?
It's on his list.
Okay, is it you? It was on your list?
It was on his list.
Oh, it wasn't?
Wasn't it on your list?
Wait, wasn't? You're drunk.
It was on somebody's list.
I think it might have been on Mimi's list, right, Mimi?
No, I didn't actually announce that he was here. I totally forgot.
No, yeah, no. I've been looking over there every now and then. Huh? What do you think? Anyway,
No,
so that's me.
Totally forgot.
Maybe high five.
Who was the Harvey Keitel?
Harvey Keitel was the pimp.
I cannot remember the name. It was like her first
something
movie,
with an L or S.
her first movie.
Oh,
Jodie
yeah, it was
Foster.
Jodie Foster.
Jodie
She was
Foster.
9 years old in the movie.
Yep.
Yeah, and she had to get like permission from her parents.
Or 13.
And then
Not
that
quite
spawned
young.
into
Very controversial too,
Oh,
because
who
of
was
the
the-
fact that they had her in that movie.
the guy who shot Reagan did it because of that movie.
Yeah, he shaved his
And I
head
forgot who.
like
his
Travis
name was.
Bickle, shaved
Yep.
his head in a mohawk, and he shot it to impress Jodie Foster.
Yep. He like was
It
writing.
actually
She was like
affected
going to.
American
She was
history.
going to college or something, and he like wrote her letters all the time.
Yep.
And then he took a shot at Ronald Reagan, and unfortunately he missed. So that was unfortunate.
Unfortunately,
Oh.
Mother of God. Well,
Alright.
Father Time gets them all, David.
Yep.
Don't
Yeah.
worry.
For my five, my 40 through 36. So my number 40 is relatively new. Last couple of years is Skyfall.
Wow.
Yeah.
Probably, in my opinion, the best James Bond movie ever created. Casino Royale is pretty far up there, but I don't like a lot of the older ones. They're a little too campy.
Oh, yeah.
The James Bonds were a little wimpy. Like I think probably the most overrated James Bond ever is Sean Connery. He doesn't like the epitome of him for me was in Goldfinger, where he's got the laser going towards his nuts, and he like completely wimps out and just like gives up all the information he had just to save himself, and it's just like.
See, you say this, but if you were in this situation, you would have done it before.
No,
the
but you know
laser
what
turned
Daniel
on.
Craig would have done if he were in the situation?
He did get
He
hit
would have
nuts.
broken out of that thing, and he would have
He
crushed
would've
that
laughed
dude's
it off.
face.
It's because he's like a new age James
Yeah,
Bond
he's
with
gangster as
muscles
shit.
at
You-
50 years old.
Yeah, he's awesome.
You forget
That's a great argument, Taylor.
The scene from Casino Royale with the no bottom chair and the flail.
The dude was flailing. Freaking what's the dude's
Mads
name?
Mikkelsen.
Yeah, Mads McKellen.
Where'd he go?
Mads
Nicholson.
Whatever his name is.
His first name is Mads.
Hannibal went to town on his nuts.
He's just laughing it off.
He's laughing at him. See, that's the freaking James Bond I want to see.
I
Man.
found Skyfall to be a little.
I liked Skyfall. It was
I thought
slow,
Skyfall was fantastic.
but the score it raised literally, in my opinion, the best Bond song ever.
Oh my god,
by Adele.
Adele.
It was the best Bond song ever.
She's my favorite.
I think the only other one that could even live up to it is To Live and Let Die.
Well, yeah, I guess
For
that's
song
true.
wise.
That's true. I forget.
That is a fantastic.
I forgot that
yes,
they did.
it is totally fine.
But
Good
yeah.
God, that song is terrible.
Oh, good
Good
stuff.
Paul Walker.
I know, and I don't care.
I know what I'm going to do for my movie battles if I'm picked as the judge.
Number 39. We're gonna move on. Number 39. Actually, one last thing. The worst James Bond is Pierce Brosnan.
Oh, that's not fair.
You're not even gonna like
He was terrible.
he
was
Timothy
absolutely-
Dalton and the other guy that nobody remembers.
No,
George
that-
Leonard.
I would rather watch
Just go.
those people than
Just
watch
Move
any
on. Shut
Pierce
up.
Brosnan
Move
movie
on.
again.
We're
Next
not going to
one.
agree. We're not going to agree.
This is gonna turn into like a
I'm right. You
3-hour
guys are
long
wrong.
argument.
That's whatever.
Welcome to James Bond battle number 5.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
39 is 50-50.
I love that movie. Thanks,
Yep.
Raymond.
No problem.
Thanks,
Fantastic
guy.
movie.
Never watched it.
Weirdly, like, for what it was billed as a comedy, and it came out, and it is sad and depressing,
It's a
and also
tearjerker.
really funny, but not like super bad or knocked out funny. Like, it has jokes in it, and they're very subtle jokes. Like, you could laugh at them, but you're not like rolling over laughing. And then it's just like the raw emotion towards the end, where he's getting ready to go into surgery, and he's just like freaking out in that car. He kicks Seth Rogen out of his own car, and just like has that like insane moment. That's where I liked Joseph Gordon-Levitt before that, and that's where he went like over the top. Where I love Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
It's a nice. It grounds the fact that, I mean, this is a comedy movie at heart, but it grounds the fact of like this is a serious illness that people have to go through. And they don't take it as a joke completely, but they have fun with it. They make light of it, but they don't forget what the point of the movie is, which is I really like. But I do think Seth Rogen
He
pushes too much jokes into.
He kind of.
Well, I mean, and he was there to be like the lighthearted person
Yeah,
in that
and that makes
group,
sense.
in that two friends, because without him,
It would have been a
Levitt's
drama.
character would have been just like a sad, depressing, like sitting on the couch all day, every day with a blanket over himself, just not moving. And like, Rogen was there to get him out and like keep him social, to keep his spirits up. Like that was his entire point of his character. And I think that's what he did. He did a good job of that.
I feel that. Chop feel.
Alright, so 38, cult classic Clerks.
Clear.
First one.
The first one.
Wow.
The first one.
All right.
Probably, I think that's the only one I have on here of them.
Well, there's only 2 of them, so.
No, I mean like of all of the Kevin
Smith movies.
Dogma.
Dogma. I was actually looking out here for Dogma because that's probably I think that's one of my favorite Kevin Smith movies. But Clerks is a classic. Black and white, looks like it's filmed with like the handy cams that we have. Like it's just this ridiculous movie, hilarious jokes, brought about the snowballing thing that I quoted for years. That's like, you guys want to snowball? No? Okay, that's fine. I don't know. It's really funny. 2 of the most iconic characters in my life, Jay and Silent Bob, spawned from this movie. I have all of the movies they've ever been in.
It shows the true power of independent filmmaking. I mean, at its core, this is a guy who literally sold everything he owned to make this movie, and
He's made an entire career.
He's
off
made
of
a
it.
career like almost this cult following, this huge cult following
Yeah.
under his belt that literally
It's almost not,
Kevin Smith can't do something wrong to those people, like even Cop Out.
which is, it doesn't say even Red State and
Red State wasn't that bad.
I've never watched it, but I just looked bad.
It was
That was the one based on the Westboro Baptist.
yes, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He showed them a a taping of it, and they just like hated
Yep.
it. That's like, what did you expect, guys? All right, 37, relatively new as well. I think last year. Lego Movie.
Wow.
Wow.
That's
Yeah,
a surprise.
I have a couple.
You got a couple
movies
left
on here
fielders, huh?
that are relatively new. Lego Movie was just. I went into it thinking it was going to be terrible and thinking I was going to hate Chris Pratt, and I loved it and Chris Pratt in it. There was a lot of subtle like adult jokes that were, they were like, we know that there are a bunch of adults who are forced into watching this movie with their kids. We'll throw in some adult jokes in there just to get them laughing too. And those are the kind of movies that I like. The animated movies that are like.
Grab the Academy though.
It didn't. Which we talked about the last episode of Real Frame, how disappointing that was. But I love that part, how it went like existential and like showed like the bigger picture where the entire thing was basically in the mind of a child.
That's great.
And,
it is good.
Did you enjoy the "We're from Planet Duplo and we're here to destroy you all"? That got me. I like literally. I lost my 8 pounds of Diet Coke in my butt.
God, there's so many good jokes like the Great Ball of Titelist.
Titelist. The Craggle.
The Crackle.
Yeah, it was funny because you're like, wait, they're calling it that because they can't read it right.
Like that's how you would like read it if you were like a small child. That's what you're thinking, not the actual way it's.
What did you say?
What? Like the nail remover or the Band-Aid.
Yeah, Band-Aid.
I think it's and it's a continuation, and I talked about. I don't know if it was in. I talked about it at some point. I feel like ensemble cast movies are they're like not bad anymore. There's a lot of big names in that.
They just have to not be like romantic comedies and
say anything.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I was thinking more like He's Not That Into You and Valentine's Day.
Those.
All of those really New Year's Eve or whatever it was called.
Yep. Horrible.
Movie 43.
Scrap. 36.
Right. 36. I'm gonna get some applause here. Her.
I love Her.
I never liked Joaquin Phoenix until this movie, and now I really like Joaquin Phoenix. He did a fantastic job. Scarlett Johansson, without being on the screen at all, and probably one of the most disappointing things from that year, she didn't get nominated for an Oscar. With just and it was just her voice, so I understand why they didn't. But man, did she kill it in that movie.
That whole movie.
Oh my god! And it's just like one of the. And I'm glad. I think they won Best Adapted Screenplay or something.
They did. Spike Jonze.
Yeah, Spike Jonze and whoever else wrote it. It's one of the most creative movies I've ever watched, and oh my god, I fell in love immediately with it.
It's one of those movies that you probably had the same connection. I was in the right. I had the time to watch it, the right place at the right time, and it was like bam, right to
Yeah.
It's something that can't happen yet, but you think in your head, this could be a reality.
This could actually really
I mean, I feel like
the more technology advances, the more likely this is of actually being a thing.
I like to think of Spike Jonze as a more grounded, realistic Wes Anderson. Like he takes these movies, these artsy movies, and he makes these awesome new ideas, and but he makes them more believable, more relatable. So I definitely love this movie.
Oh yeah.
Cool.
That's my 5.
Okay, well I'll start it up and I'll kind of run through mine because 2 of them anyways we already talked about. So, so now my number 35 to 31. My number 35 is my only Guillermo del Toro movie, even though I love him as a director, is Pan's Labyrinth.
Oh.
Only one that actually made it on the list.
I was actually waiting for you to say Pacific Rim, and I was going to get mad.
Yes, I'm going to put Pacific Rim on there. I enjoyed Pacific Rim. I'm not going to put it above like Pan's Labyrinth.
Whatever.
The effects were great, and I'm not a huge person for subtitle movies, but I still watched this one and enjoyed it a lot. And I thought it's actually one of the better child performances that you get out of a kid. So very rare to see good child performances that are worthwhile.
I don't want to elaborate on this one too much because it is definitely on my list later.
Mine too.
All right.
So my number 34 is a animated film that I'm guessing none of you probably have on your list. Is Titan AE.
No.
Yeah, I love
Okay.
Titan AE. I watched it as a child. I still watch it as an adult. I love it. I don't know. I like the animation. I like the story. I just enjoy it. I enjoy like kind of space animation more than most things. So I don't know. Overall, I just like it. My number 33, I think is actually my only Western on my list, is 310 to Yuma.
Yes.
Love 310 to Yuma.
Solid.
Amazing performances out of Russell Crowe, Christian Bale, the ever supporting actor Kevin Durand, and Ben Foster.
Ben Foster
Ben
stole the
Foster.
show.
Great.
He did absolutely amazing.
But yeah, I loved it. It's one of the best westerns I've seen in a long time. Great story to it. It does get a little bit long at a couple points, but overall good. And like you said, Ben Foster definitely stole the show in that
Oh,
one.
hands down. Like, seriously, one of my favorite supporting characters in a movie. Like, and it was tough because that one edged. You just nearly missed my list.
I love his delivery when he first comes up and he's trying to set up the sheriff and he's like, "Why didn't you go after them? Because they had guns and they was shooting." It gets me every time. I'm like, you go.
You go, guy.
You're not Jamie Bell though. Got it.
My number 32 we talked about already. It is Guardians of the Galaxy.
Come and get your
Yeah, I love the movie, and I really almost put it on just because of the opening sequence, the opening title sequence to it. Just because it's so good, so much fun. The entire movie is great. Chris Pratt is just a load of fun throughout it. So
surprising performance by Batista, which I forgot to mention.
Batista's very
He's
good in
fun.
there. He does a
He's
good
fun.
job as the almost
Oblivious.
oblivious.
Character.
Is the
It's a
word,
great
yeah.
character
Great
for
word,
it,
yeah.
really.
So,
James Gunn knows what he wants to do with movies like that. It's
And then-
really good that they're giving somebody like him the ability to do something this huge.
and well, I loved it too because he threw in a couple different cameos throughout it, like a big person from the Trauma, movies.
Yeah, yep.
He was in there. Nathan Fillion had a cameo in there.
His creatures from Slither were in the background of the guard.
I saw that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
Collectors.
Easter eggs in that
Yep.
collector's scene.
Which Benicio del Toro is amazing as the collector. I love him as
We
the
need to see
collector. He
more
does a
of him in the
great
second one
job.
for sure.
There's the one point where he does the hand thing. He's like,
Rocket acts at it. Like makes fun of him, does it at him. It was great.
So and then my number 31.
Just like 4 times. Like,
Oh.
My number 31 to wrap up mine is one that we talked about earlier, which is Whiplash.
good movie.
For me, it was just surprising that the premise of the movie, which to me doesn't intrigue me whatsoever, like the drummer thing, but it just was such a good movie. So much intensity throughout that I loved. And J.K. Simmons definitely earned his Oscar. for
Yeah.
that.
Oh yeah. Hands down.
Hands down earned that. He owns that. There's nobody that could have beat him for that Oscar for this year.
Wrapping up that movie with the ending it had, where you think maybe they're buddies and he just drops it on them without, let's play a song you never heard
like
of.
his character kind of changes, and then it just it was all a big play. He just,
I thought that
It was
gonna,
the biggest FU in a movie ending.
Oh
I
my
thought
God.
that was
and
gonna
then
be the
Teller
end.
just destroys him after that. Just
Yeah.
takes over the entire.
It
show.
was one of the best a heavyweight fights in.
It was a great-
It was just blow
Great
for blow.
sequence too. The whole drumming sequence at the end was just
It was
amazing.
intense.
Well, that sequence, the one sequence that I loved because it was just so crazy, was Teller gets hit in
By the
a
car?
car crash.
Yeah.
And he
Yeah.
gets out of the car, runs to the place, and he's bloody and beaten, and he goes out there. He's
Well,
like,
yeah,
"No,
that
I'm
just
drumming that."
that was a giant state of mind kind of thing. That was what state of mind he was in. He had to get there.
Yeah.
He needed to be there.
The
It was just
dedication
Do you
to
think?
making
Do you
it.
think J.K. Simmons stole the first drummer's book in the beginning of the movie? Remember, you put it on the
almost,
chair.
probably.
He definitely stole it, right?
Cool. Is that it for you?
Yeah, that
That's
would
it.
be
That
it
was
for
your-
me.
Okay.
Easy. You're up.
All right, I'm up again.
We got some time. You
So
guys-
number 35, another recent animated movies, Big Hero 6.
Woo!
Doing your list, Jesus.
Yeah, my list is pretty messed up. This is good though.
This is no continuity.
I Big Hero 6. I mean, other than like classic Disney, like the more recent movies, I think this is probably one of my favorites, if not my favorite animated movie in the last like 10 years.
And it's
yep,
a superhero movie, so Mimi probably hates it.
I'm going there. Like,
the only movies that eclipses?
For animated movies, yeah.
That's like all of the good ones.
I'm okay with that. This is a fantastic movie, alright? Don't even...
Hey, it's your opinion.
There was a lot of, like... And the same thing with Lego Movie. There was a lot of, like, adult theme in it. Like, the fact that they had a character, like, die, and then, like, keep talking about it afterwards. Like...
Essentially, almost 2 characters died.
Up did the same thing, which I think I'd have to watch Up again because I think it's kind of overrated, but not really. But like that character died, but they never really like it just gave the dude like a reason to be a douche. But other than that, like they didn't really talk about it. And at least in Big Hero 6, they like mention it more than once.
It's
like,
a sad death. It is.
Yeah, and it was just, and it really affected like the rest of the movie. Like, it was a huge moment. So I think Big Hero 6 is fantastic.
Good stuff.
34, I'm going with Jurassic Park. For the first one. I was going to do the trilogy because I know a couple of us did trilogies and not.
Yeah, but that's movies. Not. You can't.
Yeah, because then it would have been dragged down to like 47 if I had added
I have
the other
two.
So. Anyway, Jurassic Park, yep.
Bingo.
Fantastic movie.
Dino DNA.
Yep. Great performances by pretty much everyone in there except for the kids, which is just, they're kids.
They tried.
Yeah. Sam Neill.
Even Goldblum.
Sam Neill, right?
Goldblum. Sam Neill plays
he did
performance where he
like I hate him in that movie, but like at the same time he did a great job. 33 is Jaws, which if you remember where everyone yelled at me, that was my second favorite Spielberg movie.
Yeah, no, that's all right. It wasn't as controversial as your first,
which is coming up. Not right now. But,
oh yeah.
So Jaws, I didn't watch it until like the last like 2 or 3 years. The first time I watched it, and it just
you were new to the game.
I was, and it stuck with me. Dreyfuss was fantastic in that movie. He's the only guy I know the name of, and like actual like actors.
All the rest are dead, so it doesn't.
32 was a recent addition. Remember the Titans.
Wow.
Yep.
It's out of there.
It was a recent addition that jumped like half of my list almost. But my mom was watching it, and then I remembered why I love that movie so much. Like, great characters. They all kind of clash at the beginning, and then just like come together as a group. Like, the two coaches have like completely different philosophies, and they come together as like best friends in the end, which I think it was just fun to watch. Opie from Sons of Anarchy's in it, which I don't actually know his real name.
Sean something.
Yeah. Julius Campbell, those two were like opposites at the beginning, and they come together and like best friends. Just some great characters in that movie. Great moments where like they start singing. The one where they enter the field doing the like fancy little warm up that they decided. Like that was just one of like the most.
Did you mention Gosling was in it?
Yeah, and Ryan freaking Gosling's in it.
Ryan freaking Gosling's in it.
Just like
Tom Wiley.
Such a dumb character in that movie too. Just like
so winging.
Yeah.
Did you go through mine?
Yeah. So that's that. 31 is The Fighter, which is yep with
I kind of forgot about that.
David O. Russell.
Yep, David O. Russell, Mark Wahlberg,
Christian Bale,
Amy
Adams.
One of the first movies that I actually liked Christian Bale in.
And he's also
there's a lot of movies that were Christian Bale was in that I was like, and there was that time period when Public Enemies came out where he was just in movies to be in movies. Like they used him for name recognition. This one, he got nominated and won an Oscar, and I was actually like, he truly deserved it. He's
such a chameleon.
He transformed so much for that movie, and he did the same thing for American Hustle, but I think The Fighter is a better movie.
Machinist.
Yeah,
when he's like 90 pounds.
He's a crazy good actor. There was a lot of movies that I just did not like him in. But
Not this
that one
one.
is not one. Amy Adams did a fantastic job. I thought she did better than Melissa Leo, but
She
whatever.
stole the Oscar.
Yeah.
She did. So that's my 10.
Okay, we'll pick up my second half of my top 10 here. We're gonna start with number, I think it's 35. That makes sense.
Yes.
Sure.
35,
35. Another addition in my 30 to 40 list here of a superhero flick, X-Men: Days of Future Past. I was really struggling to make this into my list, but I watched it in theaters and then I watched it again, and I don't know, I really like it. I guess I'm really addicted to Michael Fassbender, and he's super awesome in every way in that movie. He is the epitome of swag. If I could somehow turn myself into another human being, it would be Michael Fassbender as Magneto. Jennifer Lawrence is a person in that movie.
She's
Sure.
there.
She's there.
She takes place.
You got the Dinklage.
Mhm.
Yeah, he's
The
the,
Dinklage.
yeah, he's the
Probably the only movie
Dinklesworth.
he's made since he started Game of Thrones that's actually
Yeah.
been good.
And he was an elf.
Yeah.
If you remember that. Anyways, so
That's
the whole
pretty
movie is
good.
great, and we can all talk about the Quicksilver scene for days.
Yeah, that was pretty impressive.
That's like one of the coolest scenes ever. If you haven't seen the movie, it's amazing, and it's worth the price of admission for that 8-minute clip. It's just awesome.
Yeah, I just like that they brought Bryan Singer finally back to do essentially what he started, and he's the reason why comic book movies are so popular to this day. X-Men started it off, and the fact that they took such, as a comic fan, they took such a complex story, which was really only 3 issues of a comic book, and they made it into a movie, and they did it really well. They translated it really well.
It was also the best movie at erasing really terrible movies by fixing the timeline.
Yeah, they did. They fixed their timeline.
I think that reason alone is why it moved up so far on my list. I'm like, thank you.
I was
That was one of my issues with
First
First Class.
Yeah.
Was like,
Well, yeah, because they.
none of this makes sense with the original timeline. What is
It
going
comes
on right
back
now?
around. Though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so did you have something to say?
Oh, I was just gonna say I was super overjoyed when I saw Marsden, like when the door opened.
Yeah.
You just
Yeah,
see Marsden
they really-
as Cyclops
They
there.
really killed the character a little too soon.
So number 34, the sequel to a great 80s sci-fi classic, Aliens, with an S. Clearly, Alien and Aliens are the same. It's the same batter, but it's a different cake. Let's just put it that way. It's got the aliens, which are awesome. As far as creating your own individual creature to go into a movie, they're like super cool. They have acid blood. They got a little tongue inside their tongue. It's sweet. It's every girl's dream, and I enjoy it. I enjoy it. The first movie is very claustrophobic, as is this one. Dark. There's a lot of screaming. it's like a roller coaster ride. My favorite scene from that movie is they've got the sentry guns up in the tunnel and they're counting the rounds down, and it's just like, oh my god, they're gonna get through. They can't stop them. It's an unstoppable force. Whole movie it's just great. It really is. Like, I wish I was alive to see that in theaters.
Oh,
that would
sure.
have been a great one to catch.
I feel like you put that on your list just for one line.
Get away from her, you bitch.
No.
Oh,
No.
oh, game over, man. What are you gonna do?
Oh.
Yeah, Paxton is just an absolute wuss in that movie, but it fits him. It really does.
Did like he was a wuss in Terminator as well.
Yeah.
He's always
Have you guys seen True Lies too? He was a wuss in that movie.
Yeah.
All of Cameron's movies, he's a wuss in. So
Whoa, whoa, Twister, bro.
But
wasn't a
Twister.
Cameron movie though.
but did you feel a little cheated that that little girl was in the movie?
Newt
Yeah.
cheated as in. I don't
You
think.
just anytime she was in a scene, you knew something bad, something.
Yeah, she was
Yeah.
kind of the harbinger of doom, and she was a kid, so she
Nothing was gonna. Yeah.
Yeah, she was.
That took away. That took
Sane.
away a little bit
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah, plus the screaming of, like, okay, kid, you've been surviving on this thing by yourself, so clearly hiding and screaming to let them know where you are got you this far. So that's alrighty. So I'll move
She
on
wasn't
past
smarter.
Aliens. Damon, don't tear up. Good Will Hunting.
So low.
Damon really struggled with the loss of the Williams.
I did.
About a year and a half.
Oh, you mean the guy from Mork from Mork?
I legitimately cried when he died.
Robin Williams, and I originally did not have this on my list, but I rewatched it about 2 weeks ago, and it was in my fringe bracket, and it's a good movie. It really is. It's a young Damon and a young Ben Affleck. It's like the Spawn of these two guys. It really is. Yeah, there's a lot of stories. Did you read how they got this script to studios?
No.
They sent it in, and 60 pages in, they wrote in that there was going to be a gay sex scene between Affleck's character and Damon's character, and so everybody called them back right away and said, "Great movie." They didn't mention that, and it might have been Miramax. They called them back and said, "Good movie, but what's with that scene in the middle?" They're like, "We just put that in there to make sure you read the whole script." So it's a great movie, and there's a really good improv scene in there where Robin Williams always ad-libs, but he does the whole "my wife farts in her sleep" thing, and he gets Damon to do a pig wheeze, and it's really funny. The whole movie's touching and has a great closing line, also ad-libbed. Son of a bitch stole my line, and then he walks back in his apartment. It's just a good movie, hands down, and I remembered it well, but rewatching it just reinforced it. And
I remember reading something when Robin Williams died about how
they
when they were like not filming, him and Robin Williams and Matt Damon would do like little improv sessions where they would just like make up randomly, just keep going and going. And Matt Damon said it was the most exhausting thing trying to keep up with Robin Williams.
Bet.
And just like that was fantastic.
They're petitioning to build a statue near that bench where they sat in that movie.
Oh, that would be cool.
Because that movie that's all just filmed in various places around.
A petition for what?
To build a statue like they did with Rocky and Philadelphia. I mean, it's a movie,
Yeah.
but
They're gonna pay for it?
Somebody's gonna.
They're
Probably the city.
Yeah, they're petitioning to get the city to build it when
No, I don't think
Affleck or one of them could just build it themselves.
Drop the bomb.
On to number 32, another newer movie and highly decorated to continue my theme of movies that everybody already knows. But 12 Years a Slave.
Whoa.
It's a good movie. I don't normally like period pieces. This particular one, maybe just because of how new it is and that I watched it within the last 2 years. Definitely a really good movie. The score is good. It's a good score. It's something you've heard. I think it's the same guy that does every movie score, Hans Zimmer. Yeah, he does every movie. But it's a really good score. The whole story is heartbreaking. There's a lot of good performances. It's almost a staged movie. There's different, as he transitions, you get the sense that a lot of time has passed.
Yeah.
And they do a good job of showing them that as he goes from plantation to plantation, you meet characters, and there's some really great side performances by Fassbender.
Oh my
again.
god! If it hadn't been for Jared Leto, Michael Fassbender would have had an Oscar for that movie.
Yeah. The whole movie.
Still haven't seen it.
The whole movie it's worth the
right there.
It really is the word Oscar bait in a nutshell.
Well, the funny thing was that a lot of people came out, like a lot of Oscar voters came out after that movie won the award and said that they never actually watched it. Like, they just voted for it just based on like what they had heard, basically. And it's just like, and I think that's terrible, but at the same time, like it did deserve what it got.
It was a really fantastic movie.
Yeah.
It's a complete movie. It's worth some gold. I don't know if it's as much as what it got.
Well, then there was a lot of white guilt going on in that that whole thing.
Yeah, it's true.
Why people didn't watch it and still gave it praise.
And to finish up my top 31 to 40, my 30s, not there yet. We'll be there. Another 80s sci-fi classic, which I bet will make appearances on everybody's list. T2, Terminator. It's probably in everybody's top whatever list. Think about it. If you look at like top 10, top 20 lists on websites across the board, you're going to probably find this, except for AFI, because they hate movies. Terminator 2 is a really good movie. If you haven't seen it, please get electricity.
Where have you been?
Yeah, The Rock can live underneath better reception. So I don't really think I have to say a whole lot about this movie.
No, and it's gonna be on my list.
It's on everybody,
Yep.
so it's a
Yeah,
great
I
don't
movie.
think
jump on it yet.
Yeah.
On mine.
It's not on. Yeah.
If you're looking for a movie that balances,
Also not 80s 91.
it's a
Yeah.
movie that does really well with what I consider to be fairly terrible character development due to the fact that most of the characters are really annoying. But you're like, sweet, the villain's great. It's one of the best villains of all time. The whole movie,
Iconic.
it's just good. It's just
What characters did they have to develop?
well, okay,
Any-
because you did have the first one, and we already kind of ragged on what was his name. No,
Oh,
the
wait.
yeah, there you go.
Furlong.
Yeah, we already
Oh,
ragged on
Furlong,
him.
yeah.
He's kind of like the main character. It's really hard. It's really unbelievable that this whiny little dude with this terrible punk rock haircut's gonna grow up to be this badass soldier that saves humankind. I don't know. I mean, they try to give him like this human side, and he's scared and he's not sure he can complete his mission. I didn't like him. Maybe that's just the actor. Linda Hamilton was developed from the first one, and she's not in the whole movie for the most part, but they did with Arnold Schwarzenegger is not a character you develop. He just is.
Yeah.
You can't flesh him. He's a robot. He plays the robot well because that's how his acting style is. He's robotic. He's stiff. He can deliver lines terribly, and it makes sense because he's a robot. They don't have a great cyborg program up there. Let's give him a horrible accent. Why not? And I don't know. The characters are there. They're not many of them, so they're easy to remember. But I feel like I think it was a really action and story driven movie above all else, and it was basically just your classic good guy versus bad guy.
Probably one of the
Let's
best
set it up.
pure action movies. of
It
all
is.
time.
That's what it is. It's just cut the crap. Let's kill each other movie.
Well, just like the truck chase scene in there
Yeah.
in general,
Yeah.
and like the
He ripped
iconic
off in that.
music that you get from that scene.
It's just there's a little bit of thought and brain put into it. James Cameron does a decent job, but James Cameron also makes just big movies.
Yes.
He loves to
Yeah.
just throw money at stuff and make it watchable, and that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's a good flick.
Number 40. Good Will Hunting.
Ooh, nice.
Filled with wondrous acting and raw emotion, Good Will Hunting is a spectacular example of overall character development. Not only does the main character change, but the man helping him realizes that his late wife's death wasn't his fault. Gus Van Sant does a tremendous job using drama and comedy in the writing to showcase a complete story. Nominated for 7 Academy Awards and the winner of 2, Good Will Hunting cements itself into my top 50 with no retainer necessary.
Apples. You like them?
How do you like
Retainer. Alright. 39. The Searchers. The Searchers offers viewers a side of John Wayne rarely seen in the Western genre that he's so prominently starred in. Wayne's gritty performance combined with the beautifully shot landscapes, including the often recreated shot of Wayne exiting the door into the southwestern setting, makes this film a memorable choice in my top 50.
Never
John,
seen-
what?
haven't seen this one.
Well, you've seen the shot where it's like the camera follows someone walking out the door into.
Okay,
setting.
yeah.
John Ford was nominated by the DGA for his outstanding job directing this film, and The Searchers received a win from the National Film Preservation Board in 1989. And this film fully encompasses the genius of John Ford and John Wayne working together. They're all stars. What are we on here? 38?
38, correct. Yep.
38. A most truly original piece, and the reason that I'm a sucker for movies within a movie, Scream.
Yeah.
Scream is my favorite horror film / horror film franchise. Wes Craven is a master of suspense in every aspect of the phrase. Scream takes the conventions of the horror genre and creates a story that implants itself onto my list. Kevin Williamson brilliantly writes this film with witty dialogue and memorable characters, and although the other films slowly decline over time, Scream stays put like a scar made from a killer's knife.
Woo!
Mm-hmm.
That was well.
Alright, Am I doing 35?
Yeah, you go to 36. Oh no, 36. So you go to 36. Yeah.
Is this 36?
That'll be 30. So you did 3 right there, right? So you're on 37 then.
Yeah, all right. 37. I feel like we have the same list. 12 Years a Slave. Powerful. That was on yours?
Yeah,
you've already done 2 movies that were on my top.
Yeah.
I figured. It's only gonna get better in terms of the difference once we get lower on the list.
I think so too.
Or higher, whatever.
Yeah,
you look
all
at it.
mine like top 10s or whatever. They're like 48, like shit.
12 Years a Slave. Powerful, repulsive, and terrifying at times. 12 Years a Slave is a film that will only go up and up on my list. 12 Years is brilliantly shot. I'm just going to go off of my script and just say one scene out of the many that I just creamed my pants over. Was when...
Good God.
Was when... I'm trying to remember, I haven't watched this movie in a while. I believe he does something to Paul Dano's character.
Oh, okay.
And they string him up. This is the main character, Solomon. And what you have is the shot of the tree, the rope hanging down. He's strung up. He's barely able to keep his toes on the ground, and the whole time, everybody, this whole plantation is just going about their business like there's nothing wrong. He's strung up. I think one person might come over and give him a sip of water or something. But other than that, it just goes on like it's just a normal day. But what also is great about that is they keep Solomon in the lower third of the left-hand side of the screen, which is the weakest side of the frame. They do that, but they also flip, so then you go behind him, and he's still stuck in that part of the screen, which is just... See little things like that, you just get excited. So, after saying that, I'll just say Steve McQueen and DP Sean Bobbitt played with the frame so well that their shots are forever ingrained in my mind. McQueen uses long pauses during filmmaking to help stretch out the nonverbal thoughts of the main character. So you get those long pauses of those extreme close-ups of Solomon just staring off into the distance, and I went to see the film with a few people. They didn't understand it. They didn't like it. And for me, it was speaking words without even saying anything, which was... The movie was
just something about a movie. I mean, if you can do that successfully, it's...
Yeah.
I agree. I love that. I love when they do stuff like that.
And with the wonderful casting, this film was a shoo-in to be a classic. 6 nominations and 3 wins of the Oscars, including Best Picture, Supporting Actress, and Best Adapted Writing. 12 Years a Slave is well on its way to becoming an American classic. I feel like it's only going up and up once they start getting it into, the schools to watch and all that. It's like...
I still gotta see it.
I never would have watched 12 Angry Men had I not saw it in school, or Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, classics like that. But anyways, okay, what was it? 37, 36?
36 should be the last one. Yep.
All right, 36. A great example of the 70s movement in American film history, The French Connection, is film noir masterpiece from director William Friedkin. Fixed with one of the best car chase scenes of all time in all of film. And I will argue it's a car chase scene, although there's not 2 cars, there's 1 car chasing the guy. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
It's The French Connection is a non-stop thrill ride filled with memorable characters and an ending that will leave you speechless. The editing in this film is enough to make you go back, but this movie racked up 5 Oscars in all and got another 3 nominations. Sorry, when it comes to the credibility, I just go with the Oscars. Everyone knows it. So.
Well, for sure. That's... Yeah, everybody can...
If I won an Oscar, I know I'd be ecstatic.
Yeah,
so I'm not going to cut it short for what it is.
I mean, you could talk what you want to talk about the Oscars, but you know that deep down inside of you, that's what your goal is, or our goal is to get an Oscar. So
you can't win one, and you pretend you don't want one. It's just because you don't think you can get one.
Yeah,
right. I would take a win at the Green Bay Film Festival. I wouldn't care
A win's a win. I mean, at least people are acknowledging your work for what it is.
Exactly.
And,
so
yeah, I couldn't say better.
But that's what I go to when I.
Hey, I do that too in some of my when I'm writing them down. I look at the Oscar wins or
Yeah.
So for sure.
Just backs your argument.
All right. So that's just the end of yours, right? I'm up.
Yeah.
My bottom 5 of tonight.
Top 5.
Sorry, yeah, top 5, I guess. Yep, last 5. 35, 1975's One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, directed by Milos Forman, and adapted from a novel by Ken Kingsley. This film, goes without saying, is one of the best, according to the Oscars. It's one of the only films, and the second to do the sweep, as they call it, taking all 5 major Academy Awards: Best Male, Female, Best Actor, Actress, and Best Film, and Best Director, Best Screenplay. So it took all of them at the time. Second one to only do that.
It happened one night.
Huh?
It happened one night.
Yep. And so really there's a lot of different undertone themes to this movie. Essentially, we're following Jack Nicholson's McMurphy as he tries to escape his prison sentence by pleading insanity and going to get evaluated in a mental hospital. And his character is this anti-authority persona, and he projects it so well, and Foreman portrays it so well. The anti-conformist ideas of the 70s too are shown highly prevalent in this film, which were somewhat prevalent in the novel too, but they take a lot more liberties with his character in the film, which I think was a good call, even though some might disagree, including Nicholson himself, who doesn't actually still to this day didn't talk to that director because of the choices he made. But all in all, it was a beautiful film, beautiful score by composer Jack Nitzsche, and it just, I mean, it's a true embodiment of what the era it was made in, and the themes that it's trying to cover. So 34, one of the newer ones on my lists. Newer compared to the movies on my list. 2001's Training Day. Directed by Antoine Fuqua and written by David Ayer. This movie is a neo-noir crime thriller, and the film follows a young narcotics detective on his first day, training day, with this overzealous, highly controversial and radical yet decorative narcotics officer in Denzel Washington's Alfonso Harris. Honestly, one of my favorite performances from Denzel. A lot of people give it slack for him winning the best actor award for this film.
They said it was supposed to.
Yeah, it's on lists about how it was compared to what he was up against, not necessarily should have won. But I tend to disagree. I mean, his performance is what attracted me to this movie when I first saw it, and I continue to go back to this movie to this day. It's one of those fun movies that bring you into this underground crime world, and offers so many twists and turns that it just leaves you on. I mean, it's one of those edge of your seat movies. I mean, not exactly believable completely on how many times the young Hoyt character gets out of death or escapes death, but great time calling. But yeah, definitely warranted on my list. I actually originally had it higher, but watching other movies, stuff gets shuffled definitely, especially when we have downtime between these episodes. You look at your list and you're like, oh well.
I really hate that movie. What is it doing here?
All right, number 33, 93's Jurassic Park. Steven Spielberg, with the screenplay and the book, written by Michael Crichton. Sorry.
It's a good book.
What really? I actually never read the book itself. I know it's a lot different than what the movie is.
It's not 100% different. There's actually parts of the second movie that are in.
That's what I've been told. Is the second.
Park for you in the book seem a lot bigger than it is in the movie?
That wasn't my thing. I think the thing that everybody always talks about between the book and movie is that they make Hammond out differently, vastly differently.
Yeah.
He's very much. I almost wish they would have incorporated him the way they did in the book, where he's a villain above all else, and the way he dies in the book is.
It just seems with like waterfalls, and it could be just because it's a book and you have to imagine it yourself. Maybe that's the way you imagine it, but for some reason I always felt like the book had it like it's just bigger than the movie. Not saying I don't like the movie. I like the movie better than the book.
Right. One thing I've always thought that Jurassic Park got right, that its predecessors, even Jurassic World, to a point. Jurassic World is a huge movie.
Yes.
In scope and budget and even cast to a certain point. But Jurassic Park, and one thing I cannot decide in what it is. Is it a creature feature? Is it a movie that it's like a run from the monsters in the night? I feel like it is. It's got some insanely adrenaline pumping scene. The Jeep chase with the T-Rex, the kitchen scene, masterful.
Yep.
With the raptors and the play with the reflections on the stainless steel.
I looked at it more of the moral issues that came along with it. That's why I come to respect the beginning of the film a lot more than I did when I was younger. Because when I was younger, I just wanted to see the dinosaurs.
Right, exactly.
But everything that encompasses that film is done in the beginning about, you're able to, but should you? Are you looking at these animals as monsters, or are you looking at them as living, breathing creatures? It's, it makes it, for me, that first part sets it up as these animals are doing what they're gonna do. They're gonna find a way to get out, and they're gonna kill things that they would kill normally.
Yeah.
So
and that's where I think, because that's where the book is different from the movie. Then, right? There's more on the actual, like you said, Lost World was more prevalent in the book. Like the whole idea of Lost World is more prevalent in the book than the family aspects and the all these other themes that they look at in the beginning of the movie or the first one. Like, it's not a creature movie in the first half of the movie. It's, should we do this to these dinosaurs? Should we have an amusement park for these living animals, or should we not? You know what I mean? Especially living animals that have been dead for so long.
Yeah,
so.
but even at the end, it sort of comes full circle when one of the dinosaurs that was trying to kill them before ends up saving them in the end. So
that's true.
I was gonna go ahead.
No, you're good.
I was gonna say one piece of foreshadowing that I missed every time I watched it until I watched a video about great foreshadowing moments. The seatbelt. He takes two female ends, and the female would be the part the male end goes into, and he ties them together and loops it.
Yep.
Never caught it. I'm like, oh, whatever. It's a seatbelt. And one thing about foreshadowing, whenever they show something like that, and if it doesn't have a laugh in it or any type of directive.
It's easy to miss, right?
Then you're like, why did they take the time to film that? Why not just have him clip his seatbelt? And so you gotta look for that stuff. And I missed it 10, 15 times. And I watched them like, oh man, the dinosaurs are all female, but they figure out a way to get together and connect.
Yep, definitely.
Yeah.
And this was on somebody else's list. It was on Damon's list, so I'll just touch briefly on it. Obviously, the impact on the film industry this movie had with its special effects alone.
Groundbreaking.
Is so groundbreaking, along with the amazing score by John Williams. It's just one of those movies that sticks with you. Like Scott said, it was obviously when we were kids, we watched it because dinosaurs. This is awesome, but there's so much more to this movie than just dinosaurs. Just seeing dinosaurs on the screen. So, number 32, 1998's The Big Lebowski. Written and directed by Joel and Ethan Coen. This film is a classic crime drama. That's two. It gives us one of the, in my opinion, best comedic duos of all time with the dude and the hilarious Walter Sobchak. John Goodman in this movie is one of my favorite characters.
His references are.
It's just the comedy in this movie is timed so well and is utilized so well that it's one of the only comedy films in general I have on my list. So and in my opinion, it is my favorite Coen Brothers film.
Mm.
So
It's one thing I struggled with. You know, my list was all the movies that I own, and I tried to put my favorite filmmakers in it. I couldn't find a spot for the Coens.
Yep.
I couldn't do it. I mean, it would be, you know, if we did that like honorable mention thing, it would be one of the first ones that I'd say. But there's just
that's
it's so tough with.
I mean, that's something with me too. Kevin Smith is somebody I admire greatly, but I just couldn't find a spot on my list for his movies.
Yeah, I mean, and there would be a bunch. If it was a top 100 list,
yeah,
there would be.
Trust me, I know. I would
there'd
be satisfied with it.
There'd be a few Coen movies in there, you know.
They're
but-
selective though. It's not like they pump out a bunch.
No, they are selective. So, yep, beautiful score, by Carter Burwell's, mixing, you know, his own score with pop culture hits of that era, and just pop music in general. It's almost a neo-Americana film, and like I said, best work in my opinion by the Coen Brothers. So my last one is one that was on Nimi's list already. 31 would be 2003's Lost in Translation, written and directed by Sofia Coppola. We followed these two characters that, in all essentially, they're legitimately lost in many ways than just in the, you know, alienated Japanese culture from them. They're lost within their lives, within their relationships, and she truly captures the connection, a specific connection by two people dealing with similar emotions, and only people that can connect with each other in the place that they're in this film. And I just think it's truly romantic, funny, beautiful, and it's just such a wonderful journey for this small moment of these characters' lives that they have to deal with. It just, I mean, there's not much more I could say about it other than I just really appreciate this movie for what it is. Yeah, that's me for the night. So,
All right.
your last
5, huh?
last 5 for you,
All
sir.
right. 35. All right, so I'll just start with saying that I know my list is going to be ever changing, and this spot is one that I highlighted because I had such a hard time with it. I just said couldn't even find a spot for a Coen Brothers movie, but a runner-up favorite Pixar film reserves this slot, and I hate myself if I didn't mention The Incredibles, Ratatouille, or any other film that your memory can conjure up in the Pixar universe. But for me, Monsters Inc. is my number. Ooh, I said 27, but it's 37. What?
I've done that before.
Oh man,
Yeah,
I must
you
have been
skipped
looking at
38.
something else. Whatever. 35, we'll say. There's not much to say except for, you know, it's very original.
Oh, yeah.
It's a very funny story, and characters that, I mean, even the smallest characters you can remember. You know, those two goofy teenager guys, and
Yep.
you know, that argue, and it's just wonderfully casted. Each character stands out in their own unique ways. The vibrant colors, in the setting, hooks viewers and brings them on a crazy ride that ends with some heavy emotion, which is awesome. And you know, Harryhausen's that little nod to.
Yep, I love it.
It's just great.
I think when you say original, if you look at that huge lineup that Pixar and Disney pumped out from like 2001, 2002 to about 2010, 2011, that
Yeah.
decade, there's a lot of great films in there. Off originality alone, I mean, there is nothing like that movie.
No, definitely
Like,
not.
it's totally. I mean, you take something that kids are afraid of and you make them playful and fun, and you add this. It's a deep story. Like they almost add, you know, like scientific facts to it, like how the world runs off of screens, and it's like how inventive.
That's-
I mean, it's
yeah.
so
They don't
imaginative.
intend to scare these kids. It's just how they have to live. you know?
Yeah,
I mean, it's
and
good.
it's I don't know. I've always highly enjoyed it.
But the most important thing is that the Sully ice cream tastes really good. You ever have it?
No, I haven't. Is it
It's
good?
Insanely good.
I'll have to try that.
All right, 34. Staying with animation, my next film was one that portrays a classic Shakespearean story timeless music, amazing characters, and one of the greatest white knuckle scenes of all time. In all of animation, sorry. I'm talking about The Lion King. This film is one of the biggest things that come out of the 90s, and for me, it has stuck with me ever since the first time I watched it. Dealing with your past is something that can be very difficult, and this film shows us that and so much more. I could have probably wrote 2 pages on it. I stopped there. I'm happy with it. Mm-hmm. So, The Lion King. 33. This next film is among the ranks of the more recent, boasting great acting from his 5-year-old star that even Taylor can't complain about, which I'm glad he's not here, because I'm sure that would probably spark an argument. But the 5-year-old child actor can't complain, all right? And mainly centered around 2 characters amongst a large group of characters. Yes, Damon, a film can be good when centered around a couple of strong characters. That is a jab because he doesn't like American Sniper.
Yep.
Beast of the Southern Wild does a splendid job of showing us life in a bayou locale through the eyes of young Hush Puppy. This film, for me, creates feelings and ideas about politics, society, strength, and survival, and also family. There's a marvelous sense of fantasy that resonates throughout the film, especially when it comes to the mythical creatures, the Aurochs. The thing that makes this film great is that each person can have a different interpretation of what the Aurochs represents. Well, I'll just tell you what I think. To me, Hush Puppy is learning how to be strong and survive. That's what's going on with her dad. Meanwhile, the film's stance on global warming sets the Aurochs free. That's sort of the political view of it. And also how, building levees so that, New Orleans doesn't flood, but all the other, bayou towns outside of the levee do flood. That's sort of the political. It's as far as it goes, really. But it's moved. I gotta find my spot again. All right, so Hush Puppy's learning how to survive. Strong. Meanwhile, the film stands. Okay, Hush Puppy's learning about the world and how to survive. I just said that. Let me. Sometimes you just rush through it. Yeah.
I hear you.
The meeting with the Aurochs and her words to it shows us that she has become a product of her environment. She's strong and has the will to survive in the place they call the bathtub. This is why this film is so great. It has deep emotion while letting the audience come to their own conclusions. Beast of the Southern Wild is a pure work of art, visually stunning, even, is compared to such works as Terrence Malick's Tree of Life and other works of his. Well acted and directed. Now, I don't take that lightly because it's so easy to say, well, the directing and acting was so good, but this is a first-time director, and his actors, his 2 main stars, was a baker. He was a baker, mm-hmm. and a 5-year-old girl. So,
And the fact that she got recognized by the Academy for just her performance in that movie.
Yep. I mean, you gotta have some patience to work with that.
Yeah, I've seen the movie.
Hands down, it's such a good movie.
I actually didn't like the movie when I first saw it, but I saw it when it first came out, and I was, I guess, naive to context of certain what they're trying to get in certain points. But after viewing it again, and even just hearing how you wrote or what you wrote about it, definitely makes me understand the concepts more.
I mean, even with the Aurochs, and when she meets, some people can interpret it as, the storm that's coming, whatever.
Right.
Or it's coming because of the voiceover that she talks about with, if there's something that's broken inside you, they come for it because they're hungry. And, I think it's just, it's awesome that you get this view on the world from a small child.
Yeah.
And even the adventure that she takes, almost that's sort of like that Tom Sawyer, Huck Finn type journey when they just swim out and get picked up by a boat and try to find her mom. It's she's doing it for the love of her father, because he loved the mother so much, and she grows up quite a bit in the films, which is just, it's insane to think about. But you know, they pride themselves on being able to survive in that area.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it's just
definitely.
It's a great movie.
It's one of those movies that go under the radar too. Not a lot of people.
Yeah, definitely, without a doubt. I think it's. Have you seen it?
I have not.
Yeah, it's.
You've heard of it?
Actually, there are movies that have been said that I've half-heartedly watched.
Oh, sure.
That is one that just went right over my head.
Mm-hmm.
Never even heard of it.
It's good.
It's tough. Got a lot of roots out there. I can't miss that one.
Another tough spot for me to choose a film for is number 32. I decided to go with a Stanley Kubrick film, and there are many great ones to choose from. His noir classic, his space epic, his 18th century film that is basically paintings with a pulse, or even his ultraviolet future dystopia. Kubrick has done some spellbinding films, but this day I choose his horror classic, The Shining. This one I went a little bit off the path. No Oscars. And even it has two, what do they call them, like Zabby Awards?
The Razzies.
Razzies.
Yep.
Where
Supporting
I think
actress.
it's the worst. There was a worst
For
director
Shelley Duvall.
and worst actress for Shelley Duvall, which I don't know. She just scares me in that movie.
She is terrifying.
She looks scared.
She adds so much to that for me, because if I saw Shelley Duvall right here, I'd probably run and scream. But
it's like seeing Gollum.
You know, Kubrick got his hands on Jack Nicholson. You know, that a decade earlier was making his name. That was the 70s, the decade under the influence, as they call it. The Shining has so many theories behind it that warrants numerous watches. You can't watch it once. It even has a documentary about what the meaning of the film is, and if you like reading into what a movie is, this is the perfect one. Although you could probably say that for all of Kubrick's films.
Right.
He's a defining, polarizing director, because he makes movies and he just doesn't give a crap what anybody says about him. A lot of his movies are crippling and flawed in ways, but they're unique and they're heavy-handed in what he likes to do. And we still talk about him. They're 40 years old.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, he's definitely before his time. But he's one of those few filmmakers that can take a long runtime and turn it into a recess period. This film is no different. The Shining axes its way onto my list because of the superb filmmaking of Stanley Kubrick, and the way you have to critically think about colors, dialogue, set design, where things are placed, why they're there, room numbers, what they all mean, pictures on the wall. The Shining is one for the ages. But like I said, that could change. Tomorrow I could watch 2001, and that one surpasses it. You know, it's just as a time. That was the time of it. I had to pick it. So 31. This one is a spot for the Master of Suspense. His first appearance on my list. Definitely not the last. I could have easily said a film like Vertigo, Rear Window, The Birds, or North by Northwest, but I chose to go with the film Dial M for Murder. And I find it genuinely fun. Usually when people say it's a fun film, they're trying to hide the fact that many people don't like it, but they like it. I don't believe that's the case in this regard. It's a mystery that you are a part of from the beginning. A murder plot that you're in on that goes completely upside down, but still somehow finds itself working in a way. Dial M for Murder is so smart as a plot that it makes you wonder, how would I get out of that and what would I do? And like any great Hitchcock plot, it's spun as tightly and complex as a spider's web. Hitchcock resurrects the career of Anthony Dawson, who plays the attempted murderer. Grace Kelly is fantastic, and what's not to like about another main character that's a tennis player? Come on! Dial M also uses a single location for the entire film. Brilliant. Thus completes 40 through 31.
There you go. It's almost an experience watching Hitchcock movies. You know, I mean, so the dynamic of what he does for his storytelling, with not only narrative but with placements or the placement of the camera, where it's supposed to be to avert the attention of the viewer and stuff like that. I mean, it's just very
Well, the man that created the MacGuffin, you know.
Yeah. Oh well, yeah.
But
for sure.
the greatest thing about watching a Hitchcock movie is he loves film. He loved talking about film. You can go on YouTube right now and watch so many clips about him talking about film aesthetics, anything, which is awesome. Which is a little different than someone like Stanley Kubrick, who you don't really get to enter his
world because he's so shut off.
Yeah.
He's a hermit.
Yeah, so it's even commentaries, it's all his family, instead of he never goes past just making the film. Which, that's what you admire about a guy. That's why we have so many theories about his films. But yeah, Hitchcock is, there's so many movies that guy made that, you could tell me a Hitchcock movie and, he made so many movies. It's insane.
So that ends our part 2 of our top 50. I'd like to thank everyone who showed up. Trace, Blake, Taylor, and Scott. Good stuff. Good 10. And that's it. We out.
Peace.
So the next time it beeps, we'll just
All right, let's fill in this airtime here. I like to talk about what's on everybody's mind.
My dick.
What's up with Bugles? Where have they been? Where have they gone? And what have they accomplished since they've been gone?
Well, honestly, they haven't gone anywhere.
They've
but...
gone. They really have. No longer do the witch hands populate the cafeterias. I feel like that's an age-old thing. Kids these days, they're worried about, I want to eat healthy. I want to go, play and not hurt children, like beat them with dodgeballs.
It's true.
I
Justin was trying to talk me into doing Herbalife. Like, I just want to eat some Doodles. Like, I don't want to do Herbalife.
Yeah, let's bring them
Pseudo-
back.
Yeah.
Do you think that
This is actually
SpongeBob is
nice.
racist? Let's be real.
probably.
Have you seen a black fish down at the bottom?
Yeah, like I still have that.
No, but there's the other
bad
ones and
video.
there's pink one.
Well, what do you
There's even red. Like they
They're
have
just
more
eating
red
shit.
than
Yeah,
color.
I'm sorry.
And there's no Native Americans anywhere except for in SpongeBob. There's some red ones.
They're
We
like,
should make sure this gets into the video.
Oh, God.
Absolutely.
Uh,
Okay.